Hello, and welcome back to Echoes of Mana. Today we will be today we'll be reading, not watching. We'll be reading the feedback that people have posted on the official Echoes of Mana Discord. Now, I know everybody who's been playing this game has been providing a lot of feedback on various things. But before we get into that, let's go over some of the news we got right here. So, for those who don't know, we have a 1.5 million download celebration. Basically, a bunch of SP and AP refills are what they're giving out for this event. So, you get 300 spirit crystals first day you log in, and then throughout the other days or the weeks or week, you'll get the other AP and SP fillers. The next thing is that they are considering a Ravwing coin trader, which will be talked about at length later. They have an issue with Duran. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And for those who don't know, we actually have Angela. We have an Angela banner, kind of like how we had a Sumo banner before, but now we have Angela. Great mage and good water damage unit. Very strong magic user as well, with good costs. Of course, you got others on the banner, all the other 4 stars. But one of the most important memory gems is this one, Rulers of the World. Basically gives you MP plus 20 every 10 seconds they are field and active. So what it means is that when your character is on the active field, they get this MP back every 10 seconds. So it's very good for MP regeneration. Of course, you got other 4-star memory gems, and you've got that and a pity. So then we have a dev dispatch, which is, I like that they do these dev dispatches. So let's go ahead and read it out here. Greetings, Echo Allies. We're the EOM production team, and we hope you're enjoying your adventure so far. About a month has passed since launch, and the time seems to have flown by. Between the scenario event, Trail to the Toughest, the Copper Chaos event, Bravers Arise, New Gear Luger Dungeons, etc., the world of Echoes of Mana has been quite busy. Even so, we appreciate you playing all this content and more. Additionally, we've heard your concerns about running out of features to play through, not having enough AP and SP, which is stamina, event content not meeting expectations, and adding more fixes, and so on. Based on your feedback, we have created a list of updates and planned feature improvements to share with you. So, for play content, on the 29th, which is tomorrow, we're going to get Chapter 6. I will stream that. I will be streaming that tomorrow. And this will explore Dawn of Mana and Legend of Mana. A couple days after that, we're going to get a scenario event, and we can get Elazul from this event. So, we'll probably be seeing another event that's going to be interesting. Hopefully, it's going to meet up to expectations, like it did for Trail to the Toughest. And then a few days after that, we get Twilwell Tower update, which gives us our 80th floor. Then they're gonna talk. Then we had the stamina they've been talking about. So we had the campaign for SP and AP, where basically they cut it by 2/3. It used to be 24 stamina per run. They cut it to 8. However, given the massive amount of feedback everybody's been giving, they're going to make this permanent. They're also making daily missions a lot better. They're going to keep that campaign feature permanent so that you're getting basically 60 back a day. So that's a good thing. And this is going to be active on the 1st of next month. so it's not far away. On the 7th, which is still a good ways away, we're going to have our AP and SP max increased to 180. This essentially is giving us 60 more to work with. It means we'll play a little bit longer. I want to think about somewhere around 15 minutes longer, because it takes me about an hour to empty all my stuff. Then we have the recovery amount for spirit crystals. They're basically fixing this because they've seen how people weren't receptive to a spirit crystal hike every time you refilled. So they went ahead and just make it refill all the way when you use spirit crystals. This is a good thing because it keeps people playing. And then you have their change to the spirit crystal hike. They actually cut everything in half, so it's not like it keeps ramping up every time you do it. So instead, it's basically going to follow 30 for first and second, 50 for third and fourth, and 100 for the fifth and sixth, and after that, it's 150. But they're also looking at improving load times, and there have been inquiries about paid crystal only harvest. I know there has been a little bit of a worry regarding paid crystals, mainly because people don't really like paid only as much, because let's say you put a really good unit but it's paid only. This creates a issue for F2P. And I'm glad they came out and said it, that they will not offer services limited to paid crystals. And I'm thankful for this, because this means that everybody can get all the units in the game over time, instead of, like basically, instead of it being set to a premium. And I think this is good for the game's health in the long run, that they don't do it. But at a later date, they're also gonna send us 3 AP and SP fillers. So we'll be getting like 300 stamina for both of our gauges. Okay, that ends the news. Now, this news is actually good because it brings a lot of changes for quite a few things. Like the AP and SP, as I said before, very important thing to keep people playing. And then adjustments, like here and there, for quality of life. And of course, making sure that we do our daily training. So, that out of the way, let's go on to our feedback. Now, let's go on about feedback. Now, let me see where I'm at. Okay. So we're going to be starting from all the way back at 522. And we're going to go through the entire feedback thread all the way to the bottom. So here's what player Amarez said. Weapon forging as a new and also alternate method to unlock ranking and event. It is a way to get weapons. So basically, what he's talking about is the dataless weapon that's available through the current ranking event. And as we went through before, your ranking rewards, you can get up to a +3. You can get up to a +3 dataless lens. We don't know what buffs this entails, but it's supposedly stronger. However, there were issues about half of that bracket not getting a dataless lens, and thus pushing out a bit of the player base. Because then it creates, oh, you got place high in ranking event. Well, I think this is a good suggestion. but let me read through. WAT should have a new menu option, weapon forging. Weapon forging. This one would use orbs given by your weapon expertise level or other sources like events, made by your condensated experience and memories, in quotes, of fighting alongside those types of arms to upgrade a basic weapon type given out by default. As such, the weapon would change and unlock looks until reaching final forms like in the ranking given Daedalus Lance, which further upgraded would go to the plus X current prize system. I propose this system as a side grind that adds a bit more to the weapon expertise account reward, with a way to show our devotion to those arms types, and a way to alternatively obtain ranking weapon rewards. As the game goes on, those weapons given out will be taken into account for stage and boss balance so as to not be too easy. As such, players that come by after the ranking events or not able to obtain the featured weapons have an alternative to get the weaponry to get that extra edge. Mind that this doesn't subtract big value from ranking rewards, as those still have the jewel and the title prizes. Also, ranking still serves as an earlier unlock of a weapon, skipping the grind. So, what he's saying here is that WAT, this is a new function that he wants the developers to add. And I think this is a smart way to do it. Mainly because by being able to forge weapons, like for instance, if you've played Secret of Mana, then basically you know how how you have these orbs that you get, and you're able to upgrade your weapons that way. I think this is what Amarez is getting at. Basically, let me pull up my weapons here, or my profile. Hold on. So, look at the weapons levels here. So, like, I've been playing Sword a lot. And for like every two levels that you get using like the weapon type, you should get an orb. And this will go up all the way to level 10, which will then create the strongest weapon for that type. So, like say, the highest for sword could be Excalibur or something. It could be Excalibur or Dragon Buster, if we're going to use Secret of Mana weapons. I think that using these can make it a type of progression. Like, it gets you to play these characters for this weapon. And the way the bond system works, and the weapon experience works, it works really, really well. I think it's a good thing, because you're also getting these damage bonuses, and you're going to get also the orbs that you can use for looks. You can use them for your weapon bonuses once you get the +2 or just even the top weapon. I think it's a good thing to have, because we already have access to like 2 weapon looks, even though I'm not sure they work right now. I haven't looked at it, but they gave us 2 weapon looks like close to the start of the game. Regardless, I would want to see this system work, because not only does it add an extra death, but it gives you a reward for like a long-term grind. Kind of like what we're seeing with gear right now. So, let's go on to the next suggestion. Let me see here. Someone wants to put more missions and events with AP and SP pots, and so that they can make 5-star equips and high-range stuff more rare. But I don't think that we should have more. I think we should be looking at, since they're increasing the stamina up to 180, I think we should look at the costs of things, as well as the recovery rate. And then there's UI, such as somebody wanted the equipment sell screen to show stars for like which stats you've upgraded. So if you want to know what I mean, let me go to party real quick. So take Sumo for instance. I go into equip gear. Basically, I can see the stars here in the equipment menu. You can't see that when you're selling equipment at the blacksmith. And they're saying like, if you hard press it at the blacksmith, well, let me go to the blacksmith then, so you can see a difference. So I can see stars on that, but if I go to upgrade, I can't see the stars here. So I don't know how many stars have been put into this from right here. So I think that this would just be a UI upgrade, and they can definitely do that by making it look similar to what the other Scream did. So moving on. This Matthew said this game eventually needs a world map to explore, similar to what we see in the Mana series. This is what makes games like Genshin so popular. I sincerely hope they are willing to add it down the line. While I do think a world map would be great, I think that maybe, like, you have to think about the context of the world that Echoes of Mana brings us into. And at the beginning, the goddess tells us that the world's fractured. And the only things that allow us to go to these other worlds are the echoes that come from the tree, the fruit from the tree. And this fruit basically allows us to go in and out of echoes and meet different types of people while we're looking for the Mana Sword. Because the Mana Sword is supposedly what will bring back the world. But all that aside, I am not sure if we'll even get a world map. I feel like that's something for exposition way down the line. But I don't think that's for right now. Someone wants Google and Apple ID linking. I can understand that because you want to link somewhere else. Someone wants a sorting option for allies and memory gems, such as saying names. I think having names is a good thing, because one of the issues is that the allies, as they go by level, and your filter doesn't really give you much other than like what rarity, what element, and what weapon they're using. So it's a bit of a issue. And I feel like we could definitely go by names. Like, it'd be easy to just have name so that we could easily see like who's what. Because like, let's say you have a 4-star Durant or 5-star Durant here that's originally 4-star, and you put them up next to a 3-star Durant that was upgraded to 4-star. The art looks different and the element is different, but they look so similar it can sometimes be hard to read. So I feel like that would be beneficial, because that way we don't have to keep thinking about, where am I going to put this Durant? Where am I going to put it? All that aside, I think this is going to be a sorting feature that could be useful. Someone has a suggestion about giving Evade some invincibility frames. I think this is mostly has to do with ranking event with Bravers Arise, because supers can, you're going to get hit by a super no matter what you do. Because Rax's super, it's poison. You can't, You either, if you're going to skip a super, you have to do enough DPS no matter what. And at that point, I think, okay, I feel like this should be I think we've got enough evasion that'll work in terms of mechanics right now. Then another person called Arcelius wants 4-star dupes to trade off. Introduce a merchant that allows us to trade off extra natural 4 stars of the same element into an elemental benevolent, like a 2, 3, or 4-star wind unit into a 1 4-star wind benevolent. I feel like having that, we should consider like elemental icons, because elemental icons are basically the big things that will allow you, and they've already got the they actually already have these icons in the game. They just haven't given us any yet. I feel like elemental icons are going to be an important factor later on as you play, because the unleashes are important, especially for certain characters like Duran, Reese, or Sumo. So let's go to the next suggestion. We are currently on 524. And on 524 was when we talked about, when they started talking about the Rabite Store coin exchange. So let's talk about that for a minute and look at the news. So, the Rabite coin trader, basically, after that banner goes away, if you have any points left, all those points get turned into Rabite coins. However, there is an issue with the Rabite coin shop. It has been grifting a lot of players. So, let's go over what we got here. So, for 20 Rabite coins, you can trade for basically whatever elemental coin you want. And this is like, why? Elemental coins are already particularly easy to get. I don't feel like this is worth anything. And the very fact that they set a 4-star benevolent spirit icon to 500 Rabite coins. Let's do the math. So, 2,700 crystals. 2,700 crystals is a 10-pack that you can open up for that banner. 5,400 is a 20-pack. 54,000 is pity. 54,000 is pity, which is 200. So essentially, to get it, it takes 200 pulls to get pity. And the way the pay system is, I don't mind it, but it's for that specific banner. So I'm kind of on that. But in terms of Rabite coins, this is major, because requiring 500 is, you're asking for 108,000 crystals. And if we consider like half, because it's asking for 500, so it takes 54,000 for a 10 pull, or not a 10 pull, a 200 pull. 200 pulls is 54,000. Cut that in half, it's 27,000, which is 100 pulls. So essentially, they want us to put in 135,000 crystals to get a single 4-star benevolent. I think that's messed up. And by the time you do 500, you're going to pity, no matter what. So I think that is a problem. that should be addressed. The one thing I believe that you should do is, I think that I think the developers need to reduce Benevolent Spirit icons to 200. Just make it 200 so it matches the pity. And if you make it 200, the people who spend like just their free-to-play crystals, they essentially give us, well, I'm trying to find the right words for this. They essentially give us the same pity as if we did 200 on a banner. It's just it's more of a global access. Though, of course, then you're saying, oh, but I can just save my 200 pulls and not get pity, and then just buy into the banner if I don't have the character. Well, typically you do the 200 to get the memory gem or the character. But if you've already got both, then I guess you should save it for the Benevolent. It can be used on something you already have. Ugh, excuse me. So, it'd be something to work towards. And then for the other Rabite coins, like, why can't we use elemental icons? Like, have a scaling elemental icon. Like, say, Salamando icon. And then you'd have scaling stars. Of course, Benevolent icons are overall just a general. So you can use those to like have 2-star to 4-star Benevolent icons, and those are basically ways to instantly unleash characters. I mean, that's one way to do it. Another way to do it with those icons is like, why don't we do, say, oh, whoops. Bring that back up. Why don't we do something like, why not? It's hard to think of something for this, because like they're trying to put these coins in progression. I don't feel like coins are a huge thing that'll actually impact the experience, especially since you're using crystals to do so. It's a really hard thing to think about when it comes to this. But again, I don't think that this is the way. I really don't think this is the way to deal with this shop. If there's anything you guys can think of, then please do tell us. Please send the feedback. What are they talking about? Oh. I'll get to this in a minute. Okay, so let's go back to feedback. Let's go to the next one. Hackers. We've already talked about hackers in last week's stream. Rabite store. New banner every week. So let's talk about like the frequency of banners. In my opinion, I think having banners every other week is not a bad thing. Because basically you're trying to put this up for what we might want to use later, or what the content is essentially going to be pushed towards. Like, the next content could be pushed towards Angela or magic users, because there is a lot of physical damage coming up. We have a lot of physical damage. We have Kevin, We have Sumo. We have freaking Keldrick. We have Duran and Reese. That's like physical damage right now is the meta. So it wouldn't be bad to introduce, like in the next event, a magic caster of sorts that actually does some stuff. So that's like something I am looking forward to see what Elazel does. But for right now, let's move on to the next feedback. Invite feature for co-op. I feel like that would be a bit difficult. Let me look at friends. See, the only thing with friends is that they only show last login. Holy crap, do I have a lot pending. But yeah, they only show like last login. So I don't think it'd be feasible to do that. I mean, you could essentially do a banner login for that, or use like a banner notification. But then they could have it turned off, and they wouldn't get it. So I'm not sure if this would be feasible. Again, with the Rabite coin exchange. Oh, someone mentioned actually adding Nitwit icons to the exchange. I think that's also a good thing. Those could be for way less than the Benevolent. And then there's issues with Julius. Doing more damage, boss XP. Okay, let's get to one of the big elephants in the room. So, this is on the developers. It's something that I myself am not exactly happy with. So, here's this issue regarding Durant, 4-star Durant. We have confirmed an issue with the support skill for Duran, his Sterling Blade Flash version. When this support skill is obtained after unleashing this ally 3 times, or boosted after unleashing this ally 6 times. Currently, the support skill is not behaving as intended, and we are assessing measures to address his issue. And the description says he gives ST damage percent. The in-game effect is the skill effect is not behaving as intended, and when skills are used multiple times, this skill effect is multiplied. So basically, there's a bug that increases by 30, then by 60, then by... And this is on skill usage. So, this is busted. We will notify players later about measures to be taken to address this issue. However, we have no planned updates with fixes for issue to be implemented during the Bravers Arise 1 event period currently underway. Due to this reason, we took into consideration the amount of time that would be necessary to use this ally's skills multiple times in order to multiply its support skill effect on activation. Our investigation determined that this issue will not cause a significant impact on a majority of players participating in the Bravers Arise event. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience that may have caused, and we thank you for your understanding. Okay! There is something that is really, really wrong with this event. There is something that is really wrong about this. So, essentially, what you just told them, and this is on... This was like 6... No, it wasn't 6-3. This was like when they announced the Rabite store. And currently we are on 525 feedback. The biggest issue, the worst thing you can do is you can disrupt the ranking system. in a way that essentially you're giving them information that, hey, this is busted. We're going to fix it, but not until after the event. So essentially, you've got given the go-ahead for people to exploit your game. I do not agree with this, because what this does is it essentially disrupts the entire ranking event. If anything, I believe that you should have kept this quiet, and in later events, you should have actually, like, after the event is over, you should have actually come open about it after you fixed it. It's essentially saying, this cheat is good, we're not going to do anything about it. I don't like that, because, for one, it's anti-competitive. If they essentially have that character at +3 or higher, they're going to exploit it for everything they have to complete content before it is fixed. This I am not agreeing with. So, developers, if you are looking at this, please reconsider in the future for any such ranking event that when you find bugs such as this, that you do not, under any circumstance, say this during a ranking event. Okay? Okay. Let's move on to the next piece of feedback. Someone's complaining about loading times. I mean, they're already going to work on that. People are getting good feedback on dispatch notes. We've already said these are good. Okay, here's one suggestion. Allow us to sell 4-star units for some Rabite coin. Since there's a chance they don't plan to lower the 500. I mean, okay, but typically you're not going to get like +6 unless you whale, or if you're stupid lucky and gain the same unit 6 times, or 7 actually. So, I can see it, but they still have to lower the amount to 200. There's a stupid suggestion saying that every $100 we spend, we get 2 or more inventory. That's dumb. That would make it a pay-to-win game. Screw that. Let's not do that. Someone's saying we need more spirit crystals and make it so F2P can summon 10 times every 4 days, while Pain can summon 10 every 2 days. Again, do not disrupt the balance of F2P and Pain. That is the biggest thing that will kill your game. We have to be very, very careful to maintain that balance. Allow memory gems to gain some amount of experience upon stage clears, like units, instead of being leveled exclusively by echo plants. Better long-term solution than upping and tweaking the bloom drop rate, I think, it might encourage people to put cards on to level them while running other maps. Now, I think this is a good idea, because essentially, since we use the leveling system for our memory gems, the only thing is, we get seeds every time we finish. And I think this is okay as a side. The experience you would get for your memory gem would not be significant. Kind of like how the current leveling system is. You'd only get, like, say, 100, 200 experience. And it'd be equal to the amount of experience you would get from just playing those characters. It would be a fair way to do it. It'd be a bit of a grind, but it'd actually be pretty good. Then there's another suggestion Burn gear upgrade mats to reroll gear stats. After a piece of gear is maxed out level-wise, allow players to reroll selected bonus stats. Cost for type of bonus stat reroll is double normal cost of hitting 4 item levels based on max level of gear. Cost for the star bonus reroll is 3 times. I think this is an okay way to do it, but then you'd have to this is more for endgame players. But I feel like this should be for, say, there's still going to be people trying to farm, and this would essentially make it to where you keep rolling on gear over and over and over, and essentially you come across a piece of God roll gear. You come across a piece of God roll gear, and you then have just all this Altena alloy, and you can use that to fill the gauge once, and you get a reroll of one of those of your select star. Like, say you didn't want a star to be on, say, con, when you want it on intelligence or strength. You tapped con, and then it re-rolls it among all the stats. And I mean, this will be, again, a grind for in-game. So, next suggestion. This is on the 26th. Spirit Crystal subscription. Plenty of us don't want to spend too big, but would be willing to pay for a subscription to gain Spirit Crystals over time and help us save up. Also, more sticker packs. They're so cute. Please, I'm begging you. Okay, so the sticker packs, I'm okay with. Let's go to the shop for a minute. Now, here's my deal about sticker packs. Give it just a minute to load up. So, these are at the bottom. Here's my issue with this. You essentially are... You're essentially trying to keep tying crystals into these packs. However, I think that you should make the stickers cost lucre. Make them cost lucre. Because, like, tying these packs, that doesn't really incentivize much use unless you're paying for it. And the fact that it costs $6 and $8 separately, and I wouldn't pay that much for just stickers. Like, that's just gouging a little bit. It feels like you're gouging. Like, I just don't agree with it. Like, you get... Like, here's all the stickers you can get. And they look pretty cool. Don't get me wrong. Because, like, the one with Kevin's cool. When they're being shot out of the cannon. Beat up Duran. Then you have Seeker of Mana stickers, like with Randy in the pot. You have Prim cheering. Like, there's some really good ones here. So, I just think that it's better to put them in a lucre store rather than try and sell them out right here. Because you're essentially just buying pretty close to what it costs for Crystal Pack C. So regardless, if you're going to put a Spirit Crystal subscription, I would actually like it if, like, while it'll cost money to do that, which I won't be against if they do, because it actually helps support the game. Like, say, put at, like, let's say you can get over a month you get 3,000 crystals. With essentially a 10 pull, and then 300 more. So 11 pulls. Like, you get that many. You get 3,000 crystals. Which is essentially, you get 100 crystals every day. I think that getting 100 crystals every day would incentivize login. It also incentivize, like, again, the subscription plan. Because people would be paying like $5 for this. $5 for 3,000 crystals? Dang, sign me up. Like, they buy that at a heartbeat. And you can make this like a monthly subscription. It'd be easy. So, let's go to the next comment. Another one from Marcelius. In addition to replenishing Blue Pots bundle, would be appreciated if they replenish the Yellow Stamina Crystals bundle too, in need for those stamina. I think that's again going in the pot section. Hold on. Oh, it's because of limiting purchases that they're getting on about. The mini packs. The mini packs, like ranking support, like all that. But look at these prices. Like, let's be real. You would not be paying these prices for this. Like, you would not. Like, while it's supposed to give you more SP, you're just buying these crystals for $8. And this is like 840. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do this. Like, even then, you have Altana Alloy, you have the other stuff. You have Awakening Orbs for $40. Jesus. Like, I feel like there's better prices you can put them at to actually incentivize players who don't have a lot to spend. Because not everyone's going to buy, like, not everyone's going to buy 300 or say like $8 worth of crystals. Also, the fact that your 99 is 100, I feel like, just to criticize a shop, it's built too much towards a little bit of greed. It could be toned back a bit so that it can be more feasible for the consumer, because not everybody's going to be able to spend like $25, $40 on this mobile game. I mean, they could, but I don't think it's going to happen in the long run. Then there's someone talking about removing newcomer advice after a failed attempt. I've seen this too. And when I failed quests, I think that after a certain point in the game, like, just make this come up once, and that's it. All you do is make this come up once. Well, after that, like, let's say you are below power. Make it come up then. Like, if your character party is below the power level that they have set, then bring up that menu to get them to upgrade. I think that also should be a factor. Because, I mean, I know people try hard stuff and can get carried through it, but if you're doing hard stuff by yourself and you're not prepared for it, I think it's better that if you fail that, you have that screen show up. Just so that it tells them, you need to upgrade. Okay. Now, we have another piece of feedback from Siananan. And this is actually about the trader itself, the shop. So look at how many different traders we have. That's a lot. And Copper Chaos is gone. Like, we can't use any more of the EP that's there. Like, even then, we have, like, an excess of EP we can't even use. So it's just gonna go to waste. But let's go ahead and read this out. Maybe I'm alone in this, but I think you should scrap the different trader pulls and just have one trader. Every 200 pulls from a banner should get you a 4-star guarantee. The people who are maxing everyone are still gonna max everyone, but you might help your F2P player base max out some of their favorites. Spenders are gonna spend, help out those that weren't from the get-go. This would obviously hurt your plans for the Rabite store, so I propose that instead of it being expired trader points, that you allow us to recycle unwanted units and memory gems for Rabite coins instead with higher tiered units gain higher coins. Almost like a second pay that takes much longer. Also, reevaluate the cost of things in the Rabite store. You're going to make money on the game because it's beautiful and well put together. Don't make the mistake of getting too greedy and pushing away your low to mid-tier spenders. This was what I was just talking about. Except, he goes a further step to talk about the trader. Because we have 5 different traders. This means you pull on this banner, oh, you don't have the Rabite coins for this one. And like, I think that having an overall trader would be useful. Like, just condense them all and just add content to a single trader. Because that way, then you're provided with a list of memory gems and units you can trade for 200. Because I would think it would be useful if you could trade in stuff for 200. And this would be a long term for free to play. Wouldn't be as long term for, say, spenders, but it would still be long term for like normal people for the free to play. So I think that's something that should be added for sure. So then someone's here to talk about Crystal Sweep, which was shown at the very beginning of the game. Instead of Spirit Crystal Sweep ending, make it to where it refreshes once a month with the 200 crystals. With the cost of stamina in normal gameplay, it's nice to have a place to go where it's only 1 stamina. Building bonded weapons is a slow process. Bond is much worse since more heroes versus weapons. I know it's supposed to be a launch type thing, but is there really harm keeping it and allowing 200 crystals a month? I think that this is actually a good point. Because, again, essentially you're pandering a little bit towards F2P. But you're still going to have spenders at the end of the day. And having a place where you can farm your weapon to like level whatever. And we looked at the weapon levels earlier. Like being able to upgrade your weapon levels, that's actually a very important aspect that helps towards power indirectly. So I think we should keep Spirit Crystal Sweep and give it the 200. Just leave it at the 200. That way everybody can get in on it. If they've already done it, then that's okay. Just give them the 200 as a monthly mission of sorts. Next feedback. I'd love if there was a way to reroll levels on gear. Getting good gear is already very difficult. Okay, this is basically going back again to talking about re-rolling gear. Either give an option to reset gear to level 1 Trager instead of being RNG based, allow players to select what stack gets boosted. I think that allowing players to select what stack gets boosted helps more. But that's more of a customization in-game type of thing. While I think that let's take that feedback that we had about, say, the feedback that told us about using Altana, a lot of Altana alloy. Take that and put into this. Use a bunch of Altana alloy to reset your stats. Well, to reset 1 star of a stat, like say for, like, for instance, the amount of alloy it takes to spend to level 20, it would cost a lot of alloy just to reset a stat. And if you spend that much alloy on a piece, then essentially you can pick where you put that star. This gives us a long-term grind for the in-game players, as I said before. And I feel like this would be more useful than basically having it random. So, next feedback, Sanante. They want a way to farm once a month a 4-star Benevolent statue. I think this is okay, but we've already got Benevolent statues probably on the way with the next event, but I'm not sure. I think that just Benevolent statues in general, we really, 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 really need icons at this point. Because we've had 3 events. We need to start seeing some elemental icons be thrown in. Because, I mean, it's even shown in the Unleash menu that there are elemental icons in the game. We should be using those. So, irregardless, like, we could have, like, just throw them in events. Throw them in the next event, for heck of it. So, next feedback. This next feedback is going over what we already talked about with the bug, how we didn't like it, and that's there. Then there's another feedback that was from yesterday, and he's got a bit of a list. Have a function where players can do a free summon daily. It can be any banner, or it's on a special banner. A billion gacha games and MMOs have this. It's a standard. This technically is not a standard, actually, because a majority of games tend to have you spend resources to get a pull. I play plenty of gacha games myself, and I played MMOs that use this kind of system. I think that having one free summon daily would not be a bad thing, but we already get resources like that. I think that it would be best if we keep the summoning as is, because we're getting 150 a day, essentially. And then 2, can you replace all the small stamina potions with large ones instead? 10 stamina refill is useful. That's like going to a gas station and you get 1 gallon of gas and 4 quarts instead of filling up a decent way or full tank. If they were to give out like large amounts of smalls, maybe. But I feel like the difference between smalls and larges, I feel like they could adjust it to say like the smalls could give like 30 instead of 10. That way it just gives you 1 extra run if you wanted to run it one more time. That probably would be best. 3 is about the Rabite shop. We've already been over that plenty of times. 4 is talking about Angela and her AI. Yeah, her AI is horrible. I've actually used her recently, and she just runs up, smacks the enemy, and she dies. It's not very great. So, probably could fix that to essentially make her cast magic more if she's supposed to be offensive. Because I would think you would normally put her to attacker, because she's built that way. And then he's talking about the race for 4 stars. Let's go take a look at that real quick, and then we'll see what we got. Where is Harvest? Okay, so let's look at the details. So for 4 stars, let's bring up the rates. Let's see what we got. So, okay, these are ally and memory gem rates. So for allies, The feature 4-star has a 1.5%, along with other 4-stars. Meanwhile, memory gems are half that. They are only 0.75%. I do think they could do something about the memory gem and ally balance a little bit. Like, for instance, bring up memory gems to be the same as featured 4-stars in the 4-stars. Like, just bring them all up to match. You would have to change things a little bit, but having a half and half situation would be better than having it heavily weighted towards allies and very little towards memory gems, because memory gems are part of the backbone of this game. And like, if you're just getting allies over and over and over, it doesn't help you that much. And for these are the regular rates. They're different from the tables where it goes from 1 harvest and the other is going for the 10th harvest. Like, I think that the rates just need to be adjusted a little bit, but that's me. Then you have these rates for these characters, like, they're 0.3%. Like Duran, Reese, Sumo, Papoy, Shiloh. Angela's up. And like, it's crazy how it goes. Regardless, I guess they could adjust it. Then they're talking about number 6. Please fix that old bug from day 0. There are many times when you use a skill once, the characters use the same skill twice in a row for no reason, waste CMB. Please fix. I think that has to do with the queuing system. Probably doesn't read it very well. I think you can overcome this normally just by not spamming the button. And the last one he had was saying, too many activities in this game require blue stamina and lots of it. Is there going to be a balance to the cost and usage of stamina in the future? Lower costs for these events and training and equip farming would be a great start. Okay, so I think he has a point, because the only things that cost yellow or AP is story, Twill Tower, and certain events like Trail to the Toughest, Bravers Arise, and Spirit Crystal Sweep. I feel like it might be a good idea to add a little bit more yellow content, because with training, you've got 3 different types of gear farming. You've got daily train, you have bloom farming, you have lucre farming, and then you have all these element dungeons to go through. That's a lot for training. So, it's a bit crazy. And I think that it would be useful to adjust the costs just a little bit. Just so that you can get 6 out of them probably in the day, instead of just like 5. Because it costs 24 for the highest level. All aside, that's it for his feedback. Now, to continue on, next feedback is another person's complaining about Duran noobs, and he's got like 10 Durans, and they want a good use for them. I think we already talked about this, so here's the next one. Then we have someone saying to please increase our gear cap. I think our gear cap's okay right now, so I'm not gonna agree with that. Our gear cap being at 200 should be okay, because you're typically only getting like 1 gear a piece, and you can sell it if you don't like the stats on it. Then the next person said he has a suggestion from loyal players. Oh, and this has to do with like the bingo that's happened. Let me go here real quick. So, the newbie bingo's done. This we know. And then Trail to the Toughest was the event bingo. I was surprised we did not get bingo for Copper Chaos. And I feel like they could do more with bingos. Because why don't we have a monthly bingo? That'd be like for monthly players. People to do over the course of a month. Like say do training, spend this amount of stamina, or do X so many times. Like, there's a lot you can do to make a monthly bingo, both for low end to high end. So I think it's a little bit important to consider that. You can even do chapter bingos. That's actually a very important thing. Also, I was meaning to talk about this, and I was saving it for last, but I'm gonna talk about this now. So, I found out today that there is a limit on points. And I believe this is a significant issue. Because there's no point, absolutely no point, we should be having this. Because clear all missions is 150 a day. This gave us 100 for every 10. It was a very useful thing. And I feel like you can essentially make this infinite. So, like, with the expansion of campaign quests, you can get like 250 or close to 250 a day. And this would mean like every 10 days you can slowly work your way up to gain 2,700 to do your 10 pull. So I feel like this is an important thing to do. It's an important aspect of the game that is sadly capped. I understand wanting to keep crystals on the low end so that you can try and incentivize spending more. But this is a strong aspect of Ectopy that I feel like should be kept unless you are going to create more bingos. Because if you're going to create more bingos with more crystals, then sure, I'll overlook this. But I need to hear it first before I can change my criticism about this. I'm also going to write this in hashtag game feedback later in the official Discord. So let's go on to the next suggestion. Someone is saying, consider implementing lucre-based expansion for gear and unit space. Other games do this where you can use premium and standard game currency to purchase more space for units and gear. I feel like, okay, we could, but right now there's not really a worry about space. Because if you got bad pieces of gear, you're only saying up for your main 6, essentially. You're just saying up for your main 6. And after that, well, it's just extra. And you're just saying up for all these other characters. So I feel like it's important to consider perhaps like just making a set amount, a certain set. So that aside, let's go to the last piece of feedback, and this was done today at 9:29. Cheaper co-ops. In a lot of games, co-ops have a low to zero bar for entry. Some people want to play with friends, but only playing 5 minutes isn't worth it. Also, this game isn't exactly streamer-friendly playtime-wise. You aren't going to get a lot of free advertisement without streamers having a reason to play it for a long enough bit. I can spend a half hour in clear all dailies and spend all AP and SP and have no reason to play it for 10 hours. Essentially, yes. For me, it takes me about like just 30 minutes to clear this out, for sure. And you essentially have like 10 hours for it to refill. I think that maybe it'd be a good idea for co-op to be able to go in and help them. So I feel like it's one of the important things that need to be looked at. Like, you could essentially say whoever's hosting a co-op is going to, say, obtain gear. If you don't spend the same amount of stamina, you're only going to get, like, the drops, the alloy drops. You're not going to get gear. And I feel like that's actually a good incentive to get people to grind a little bit. They could play it for a lot more if they want to. Like being able to obtain alloy drops, but not get like main pieces. Like say if you are not spending, if you're not hosting, and you're not spending the same amount, like if you're not spending any energy to go with a friend on a co-op, essentially you make it so that you have the choice of do you want to follow in a way? Do you want to follow this character into the dungeon? And this puts you in the dungeon, but there will be a little warning saying you will not be able to obtain gear if you do. Like, that would probably be a important thing to know. I think it's something the developers can take into mind. Also, Esherit just said this. Is there any word about fixing the bonus crystals you get for completing 10 missions? Mine has gone the same way, and crystals are hard enough to earn as it is. Yeah. I feel like I said it before, I'm going to say it again. It's something that I feel like is important to the FTP aspect, because typically almost every 10 days, you're going to get a temple or so. Like every 10 to 12 days. I feel like it's an important aspect of the FTP part of the game, but you're still going to incentivize spending. Regardless, that is all the feedback. I'm surprised I went through that feedback in like an hour 14. But regardless, we are going to probably see if there's any feedback discussion going on. Nothing that we've already been going over. Okay. Well, that was actually informative for an hour, quarter. So I think I've said my piece and also gone over the majority of feedback we've gotten since the last time we streamed. So thank you for watching, and if you want to see more of this, feel free to follow the channel. For those of you watching from YouTube, if you want to see more, then do leave a comment below. If you enjoyed it, I'm open to criticism if you have it, things I can improve on and such. Or you can subscribe and you will be able to see my videos when they come up. They're streams, and you can catch the streams right here at twitch.tv/ultimaderp. So, in the meantime, I'm going to log off. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon, or whatever time it is. So, have a good day to y'all. Bye-bye.